It was a crime so strange, calculated, and chilling that it united two nations in shock and despair. The murder of Lindsay Hawker exposed a level of depravity that captivated the world, not only for its gruesome nature, but for the extraordinary lengths her killer, Tatsuya Ichihashi, went to evade capture. Ichihashi became Japan's most wanted man, eluding authorities for years through extreme measures, including mutilating his own face. This is the harrowing story of a promising young woman, a disturbed fugitive, and a relentless quest for justice that crossed borders and united nations. Lindsay Ann Hawker was born on December 30th, 1984, in Coventry, England, to her loving parents, Bill and Julia Hawker. She grew up in a close-knit family with her two sisters, Louise and Lisa. Lindsay's life was filled with academic excellence, ambition, and a compassionate heart. A natural scholar, she graduated from the University of Leeds with first-class honors in biology, earning the admiration of peers and professors alike. Before pursuing her master's degree, Lindsay decided to take a year off to travel and gain new experiences. Her adventurous spirit brought her to Japan in October 2006, where she joined Nova, the country's largest private English language school. Excited about her new role, she quickly adapted to her surroundings in Tokyo, finding a home in Chiba with two other teachers. She immersed herself in Japanese culture, embracing its mix of tradition and modernity, while staying closely connected to her family and friends back home through regular messages and calls. 6 months into her stay in March 2007, Lindsay's life took a dark turn. After finishing work one evening, she was unlocking her bike at Chiba Station when a man approached her. The man, Tatsuya Ichihashi, claimed she was his English teacher. Lindsay, confused and wary, denied knowing him, but Ichihashi persisted. What began as an uncomfortable encounter escalated as Ichihashi followed Lindsay as she cycled home. His persistence turned from jogging to running, and despite Lindsay's attempts to evade him, he stayed close. When she reached her apartment, Ichihashi requested a glass of water. Reluctantly, Lindsay allowed him inside, hoping to defuse the situation. To ensure her safety, she introduced him to her roommates, believing their presence would deter any inappropriate behavior. Before leaving, Ichihashi proposed private English lessons, offering a generous hourly rate. Hesitant but polite, Lindsay agreed to meet him at a coffee shop a few days later. On March 24, 2007, Lindsay met Ichihashi at a local cafe for their first lesson. Surveillance footage captured their conversation, showing Lindsay maintaining a professional demeanor while keeping her distance. After the lesson, Ichihashi claimed he had forgotten his wallet and invited Lindsay to his nearby apartment to collect her payment. Trusting his excuse and pressed for time, Lindsay agreed, instructing a taxi driver to wait outside. Minutes turned into hours. The taxi driver, assuming Lindsay had changed her plans, eventually left. Later that day, when Lindsay failed to show up for work, her co-workers and roommates grew concerned. By Monday morning, her disappearance became a crisis, with her family back in England anxiously awaiting news. Police began their investigation by interviewing Lindsay's roommates, who directed them to Ichihashi. Armed with his name and a sketch he had drawn of Lindsay, officers arrived at his apartment on March 26, 2007. When they knocked on his door, Ichihashi answered but immediately fled, evading capture despite police efforts. Inside his apartment, investigators made a gruesome discovery. Lindsay's lifeless body was found in a bathtub on the balcony, buried under a mixture of sand and soil. She had been bound and gagged, and evidence indicated she endured a prolonged and violent assault before her death. The bathtub contained a decomposing agent, and flower seeds were scattered on top, suggesting Ichihashi's macabre attempt to disguise the burial as a garden. Adding to the horror, Lindsay's head had been shaved, and several wigs were found in the apartment, hinting at Ichihashi's disturbing psychological state. Ichihashi's escape triggered a nationwide manhunt. His face was plastered across Japan on wanted posters, and his story dominated news broadcasts. Despite the widespread attention, Ichihashi managed to remain elusive, slipping through the cracks of law enforcement. Over the next 2 years, he traveled across Japan, adopting an itinerant lifestyle to evade capture. Desperate to avoid recognition, Ichihashi mutilated his own face. He cut off moles, sliced parts of his lips, and threaded his nose to alter its shape. Later, he underwent professional plastic surgery to further change his appearance. Meanwhile, police raised the reward for his capture to 10 million yen and released digitally altered images showing how he might look post-surgery. In October 2009, the investigation took a pivotal turn. A plastic surgeon in Nagoya recognized Ichihashi after performing surgery on him. The before and after photos confirmed his identity, reigniting the manhunt. Shortly after, a ferry terminal worker in Osaka spotted Ichihashi and alerted authorities. On November 10, 2009, after years of evading justice, Ichihashi was finally apprehended. In October 2009, the investigation took a pivotal turn. A plastic surgeon in Nagoya recognized Tatsuya Ichihashi after performing cosmetic surgery on him. The before and after photos left no doubt about his identity, reigniting the manhunt with fresh vigor. Shortly thereafter, a ferry terminal worker in Osaka spotted Ichihashi and informed authorities. After 2.5 years on the run, Ichihashi was apprehended on November 10, 2009, finally bringing an end to one of Japan's most high-profile manhunts. Ichihashi's capture was a culmination of relentless efforts by law enforcement and public vigilance. During questioning, he admitted to altering his appearance in a desperate bid to avoid recognition. From living in internet cafes to working menial jobs at construction sites, his life as a fugitive was one of constant fear and evasion. Yet despite his efforts, justice caught up with him. Ichihashi's trial began in July 2011, drawing significant media attention both within Japan and internationally. The court proceedings revealed harrowing details of the crime. Ichihashi admitted to luring Lindsay Hawker to his apartment, assaulting her, and ultimately killing her to silence her screams. His defense team argued that the murder was not premeditated, attempting to mitigate the severity of his actions. However, the prosecution presented compelling evidence that painted a picture of calculated brutality. Prosecutors sought the death penalty, citing the heinous nature of the crime and the extensive measures Ichihashi took to conceal it. They argued that his attempts to disfigure himself and remain undetected showed a lack of remorse. On the other hand, his defense emphasized his cooperation after capture and his eventual confession as signs of repentance. The court ultimately sentenced Ichihashi to life imprisonment, a decision that sparked mixed reactions. For Lindsay's family, the life sentence was bittersweet. While they were relieved that Ichihashi would spend the rest of his life behind bars, they had hoped for a harsher punishment. In their eyes, the severity of his crime warranted the death penalty. Nevertheless, the verdict marked the end of a long and painful journey toward justice. In a bizarre twist, Ichihashi authored a book while in custody titled "Until I Was Arrested." The book detailed his life on the run, the surgeries he underwent to alter his appearance, and his reflections on the crime. He expressed remorse for his actions and offered to donate all proceeds to Lindsay Hawker's family. However, the book's publication was met with widespread criticism. Lindsay's family rejected the gesture, condemning it as a hollow attempt at redemption. They argued that no amount of money or written words could undo the pain and suffering Ichihashi had caused. Critics also questioned the morality of allowing a convicted murderer to profit from recounting his crimes, even if the proceeds were intended for the victim's family. The book, while controversial, offered a chilling insight into the mind of a fugitive desperate to evade accountability. Lindsay Hawker's tragic story continues to resonate as a cautionary tale about the dangers of misplaced trust and the devastating consequences of violence. Her family's unwavering determination to seek justice highlighted the enduring strength of love and the importance of holding perpetrators accountable. Lindsay's memory lives on as a beacon of kindness, intelligence, and the bright potential she brought to the world. The case also sparked broader discussions about societal attitudes toward violence against women, systemic flaws in law enforcement, and the psychological profiles of predators. In Japan, it led to calls for improved police protocols and greater public awareness of safety measures. Globally, Lindsay's story serves as both a cautionary tale and a rallying cry for change. The pursuit and eventual capture of Tatsuya Ichihashi raised important questions about the challenges of international justice and the responsibilities of law enforcement in protecting vulnerable populations. Lindsay's case underscored the need for greater collaboration between countries to ensure that perpetrators cannot exploit jurisdictional gaps to evade accountability. For Japan, the case highlighted vulnerabilities in its law enforcement practices, particularly in the initial stages of Lindsay's disappearance. Critics pointed to delays in investigating her absence and the missed opportunity to apprehend Ichihashi when police first visited his apartment. These shortcomings prompted a reevaluation of protocols and an emphasis on more proactive responses to missing persons cases. The case also shed light on the psychological and social factors that contribute to violent crimes. Ichihashi's background, marked by reclusiveness and an inability to form meaningful relationships, painted a portrait of a deeply disturbed individual. His obsession with control and his extreme measures to avoid accountability underscore the importance of addressing mental health and behavioral issues before they escalate into violence. Lindsay's story is a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of justice. Her family's relentless pursuit of answers inspired countless others to advocate for safety and accountability. Through public campaigns, they raised awareness about the dangers of violence against women and the need for systemic changes to protect vulnerable individuals. In the years following Lindsay's death, her family's advocacy efforts extended beyond seeking justice for their daughter. They became vocal supporters of initiatives aimed at preventing similar tragedies, emphasizing education and awareness as key tools in combating violence. Lindsay's legacy lives on as a testament to resilience, love, and the enduring impact of a life well lived. Thank you for joining us to explore this haunting case. Lindsay Hawker's life was tragically cut short, but her story continues to inspire conversations about justice, safety, and the resilience of the human spirit. If you found this story compelling, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with our latest content. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.